Here's your reminder that fat phobia is rooted in racism. As always, if you haven't read this book, go do that. The main thing to understand is that for the last 300-ish years, white folks have been marketing fatness as a black trait. And this is regardless of whether or not black people individually were actually fat. That was irrelevant. The message they spread was that black women specifically were ravenous and uncontrollable, and these barbaric traits made them fat. On the flip side, thinness was marketed as a white trait. Again, regardless of whether or not individual white people were actually thin, that was irrelevant. The idea was that white women specifically were refined and restrained, and this led them to having delicate, thin bodies. Over the years, these messages have become more subtle, but even today, they are still very prevalent in conversations around race, health, capitalism, and poverty.
Look at the difference between an obese person and somebody who's lean. It's not just about looking good, it's about your overall health. Look at the fat in the brain. Look at the fat around the heart. Look at the colon. Look at how the knees are shot, there's no more cartilage. The bones are thinner because of mineral depletion. And more than this jiggly fat, look at all the visceral fat compared to that person. This is all insulin resistance. The fat cells are so sick. The body's just overloaded with energy and it keeps storing it. And why is it that this person has more energy on their body than this person, yet this person's hungry for more energy usually? Because the hormones are hijacked. Hormones like insulin, ghrelin, leptin. And look at that. I was suffering with that visceral fat for years because I kept focusing on the wrong things. I kept focusing on calories and bodybuilding diets. Once I understood to from my blood sugar and insulin levels, everything changed. No more visceral fat.
I'm pretty active in the fat liberation sphere on Facebook and other places, Twitter and stuff. And I always get the comment from people who are trying to come after me for being fat when I say that. And they're, ooh, fat liberation. What do you guys want to do? Eat more hamburgers? And typically I just am rolling my eyes at that comment because they have like 4 jokes that they say, especially to women. They're like, oh, you're just mad because nobody wants you, or if they see you're married, oh, you're just a cat lady, good thing you're not having kids, propagating, blah, blah, blah. Or they just say you're fat, or you're gonna die, or whatever. And, it's just like, there's just they need new material. We need a consortium of fat humor experts or something. But, I was thinking about it and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we do. We want to be liberated to eat more hamburgers. And it's not just, oh, I want to eat some fat. It's, I want to eat and not be harassed. I want to eat and be respected. I want to be treated like a human being. Because honestly, all fat people want is kind of to be left alone. Approach us, be friends with us, whatever. But we don't need your opinion about stuff. We don't need that. I lost weight when I was in college because I just felt the pressure. I felt the pressure of diet culture. I was the first year of college. I was the fat friend and I didn't want to be that way. I was tired of it. I lived my whole high school life. But you know what? I was miserable. Absolutely miserable. And the reason why was because I was the same person. I was just skinny. And there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of apprehension on my end during that time because I was thinking, man, this is going to be really embarrassing if I gain this back. I'm getting all this adulation and what's going to happen? This is kind of embarrassing. And to be freed of that has, in my almost 40s has been really, really freeing. But I think what people need to understand for this fatness stuff and this continuing staying fat and stuff, when I was losing weight and I was kind of having those worries and stuff, I was doing it for other people. And I was doing it so I would be treated better by society. I was doing it so that men, especially like in my dorms in college, wouldn't automatically be rude to me. But we do this fatness stuff for us. And we don't care what you think.
So obesity is not a choice. It's not an individual's fault that they have obesity. It's not a matter of just eating less and moving more. If that was the case, we wouldn't have an obesity epidemic. I wouldn't have this frickin' TikTok account. Or I would, but I'd be talking about something else. You see, what I find funny about the narrative of obesity being a choice is this idea and this bias that humans have that we believe we're in control of the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis. That the choices we make are all made by our thinking brain. The reality is, you don't make choices and decisions based on logical thought process. You make decisions and choices based on feelings. Yes, you can take in information and you can form a logical argument and put it all together, but it's ultimately going to be your feeling brain that is going to make the ultimate decision. It's going to decide how you interpret that evidence or that information that you take in to make your choice. I want you all to think of your dating life. Have any of you ever done something stupid over the opposite sex or an ex-partner or something like that? Yeah, I guarantee every single fucking one of you have. And have you asked yourself afterwards, damn, it's like I wasn't thinking. No shit, because you were running on your feeling brain alone. It was running the shots, it is driving the car, your thinking brain is coming along for a ride, but in reality, your thinking brain does not have any control over the ultimate decision. All the logic and facts in the world is not going to matter if your feeling brain does not agree with it. So to say that it was your choice to put the food in your mouth is absolutely ridiculous. Now that's just your emotions and feeling driving your choices. On top of that all, we have your genetics, we have the environment, we have all of this processed food that is designed to make you eat and consume more of it over and over and over again. Then there are other factors like socioeconomic status, urbanization, where you live in the world. All of these things are going to play a role on an individual's weight and how they manage their weight. And 99% of these things are out of an individual's control. Oh, and don't forget all the childhood trauma and negative thought patterns and behaviors that you gained from your parents. So while you may put the food physically in your mouth, all of your patterns, behaviors, the way your body regulates your weight are fundamentally out of your control. You can do things and come up with strategies to hack your environment and to become more mindful and do talk therapy and look at medications and stuff to help and lower those barriers. But fundamentally, you need to change your patterns and behaviors and help your feeling brain to enjoy making these other choices and changes in the direction that you want to go with your health and your lifestyle. And if you had control of your choices, we'd all be living in this wonderful utopia, dancing around in circles with unicorns and rainbows and shitting out rainbow sherbet, and the world would be a magical place. But the reality is, the world is not. We're all fucking idiots at times, and this is just the reality.
Here's your reminder that fat phobia is rooted in racism.
I don't even know what to say anymore. Like these fat people are getting ridiculous at this point. They're cherry picking at this point. Like they have to be doing this on purpose, right?
This is my husband's reaction to seeing pictures of me at 255 pounds.
I just watched this video and it made me... It kind of made me a little bit mad. But mostly, like, sad. Because, like, if she ever gains weight again, which anybody can gain weight, so if she ever gains weight again, now she's gonna know how her husband feels about that. Because he just told her right there. What an insane amount of, like, pressure. Oh my goodness. Also, is it just me? I find it super wild that she's been married to him for however many years, and he's never seen a picture of her when she was fat. I have so many thoughts about this.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
Obesity. The body positivity movement is supposed to be about things that you can't change, like people who have unique birthmarks or are missing an arm or a leg. And you should be confident and you should love yourself and your own skin, but when you see people who are 400 pounds or however big on social media and they're glorifying how big they are, that's not conducive to a healthy society, especially when the demographic on TikTok is largely children, young girls who are looking up to you.
Talk about how fucking weird it is that some people get so infuriated by the
Okay, I actually rant in my head about this all the time because I think there's so much politics wrapped up in how people take their coffee and what we say about them. And I think a lot of it just comes down to fat phobia and sexism. I'll start by saying I've been a barista. I make a pour over every morning. I get the appeal of being a coffee snob. But I think the people that she's talking about aren't even coffee snobs. There are people out there with such moral superiority about drinking dog shit black coffee than drinking something that could be perceived as fattening or feminine. This is the same diet culture BS that told us that bananas are bad for us. In comparison to everything you're going to eat during the day, a few tablespoons, half a glass of milk, it's meaningless. And then we just have this cultural obsession with shaming everything that teenage girls like. Men like Java chip frappuccinos too. You're not fooling us.
I hate to tell you this, but actively not wanting to be fat is indeed fat phobic. Also, your statement just indicated that people who work out are also people who do not want to be fat. Did you know that fat people work out without wanting to become thin? Did you know that you can work out for reasons other than wanting to change your physical appearance? The fitness and diet industry has absolutely perverted what exercise is and what it is good for, like mental health and cardiovascular health. The industry has brainwashed us into thinking that we can micromanage and control our bodies and exactly what every part of our bodies look like. Sure, you can control your body to some extent, but not through healthy means.
Swallow that bikini like a G-string. She 200 pounds.
This may be an unpopular opinion, but I really hate curvy wife dudes. Like, their whole motto is, whoa, I bang a fat girl forever. Stop using your fat wife for clout. And also, in the song, you really didn't have to go giant text, she's 200 pounds. Yeah, we can see she's fat. It's fine.
You want to go shopping? You're fat like me and I love your style. Sure, but could you call me chubby instead of fat for now? I know fat's not...
This exact thing. As someone who had this word used against me my entire life as a slur, I find it very triggering. It's not the concept of being fat I see as negative. It's just that word because of how it was used against me my entire life. And I understand people are trying to reclaim it. I just really don't like it. And people aren't responsible for my feelings. It's okay if someone else uses that word. I personally choose not to.
Here is a map of obesity in the United States.
Do you know why some fat people don't like the word obesity? Because it's used to dehumanize fat people. That's a map of where fat people are in the United States. And what is the point of such a map? Why did you create such a map? And also, why do you word it as, this is a map of obesity? No. It's a map of fat people. Every time you see obesity, change that word out for fat people and see what it is you might actually be saying.
Bro, this shit fucking hurt. It always hurts me when I see a black person being fat phobic. It just crushes me. Especially because one of the origins of fat phobia was literally racism. Prior to the Atlantic slave trade, Europeans actually found plushy, chubby to fat women extremely desirable and as a sign of health, whereas people who were thinner were sick and weird, specifically ugly. But during the Atlantic slave trade, many Europeans realized that many African enslaved folk shared similar proportionate chubby to fat sizes that they considered desirable, specifically black women. So in a desperate attempt to essentially perpetuate racial inferiority, they decided to just switch up the whole narrative and use science to back it up. This is what I mean when I say it's never been about health. Also, I'm reading this book called Fearing the Black Body, where Sabrina Strings goes into detail about this, using multiple historical references. It's really good. I beg, please stop with the fat phobia.
I wanna start with your mom and she should've whipped your ass.
The idea that fat people are promoting obesity is nonsense. Promoting obesity is not a real thing and it never has been. There are no multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns telling thin people to get fat quick. or a $72.7 billion weight gain industry in the United States alone, or government-funded initiatives aimed at eliminating the existence of thin people, or messages to thin people that if they can never be fat, then their life isn't worth living. But all of those things do exist in reverse for fat people. The entire concept of promoting obesity is a myth that's used to silence fat people when we advocate for the basic human rights we're so often denied, like equal access to health insurance, life insurance, medical care, employment, education, travel, clothing, or just basic happiness and freedom from living in shame and abuse. The only things we are promoting are kindness, respect, and equality. Fat people have always deserved equal rights and ethical treatment. The only difference is that now we're saying that out loud.
That was fucking scary. My heart's going pitter-patter, pitter-patter. I feel sick, like I could throw up. Look at my lips. Why would they be red like that?